I am starting this lecture. This is about the Coulomb's or dry friction damping. It is the last topic of this chapter. So you will be getting a some damping when the two bodies which are moving over each other is having some relative motion or on some dry surface. Suppose you are having a horizontal plane and you have a body sliding on this having a mass or weight W. So here when you apply some force in this direction, initially uh, this force will be consumed over in the friction. At certain level of F, the body will start moving, and at that point, suppose you are having a some gravitational force W, this is equal to mg here. Then you are having a normal force to the surface N, and then you are having a some frictional force here. This is your mu into N, nothing but mu into mg. So in the initial period, F will try to overcome this frictional force, and at a point when the body start moving, it is known as a limiting condition of friction. And we basically, this F is basically a friction force, and this is proportional to uh, normal force here, normal to surface, or mu into N, where mu, and this force will be basically acting parallel to the surface. And here proportionality constant basically mu here, which is known as a coefficient of friction. This friction can be of two types. The first one is your static friction, second one is your kinetic friction. So when the bodies just start moving, then you are having a static friction there, and as the body moves, then you are having a kinetic frictions. And this kinetic friction is smaller than static friction. And this frictional force, this is basically a frictional force F naught, F0. This is the applied force, you can see. And this frictional force, that is your F naught, will be opposing the motion, or it will act basically in the direction opposite to the velocity, opposite to velocity direction. So because of this frictional force acting between the two sliding body on some dry surface, you will be getting some damping in a system. Ideally, if you if you are having a smooth surface here, for a smooth surface, this figure is showing the variation of coefficient of friction with relative velocity. And here, this is for ideal case. So when the surface is smooth, the coefficient of friction is constant from start of the velocity to some extent. When the surface is dry, is rough here, then coefficient of friction will decrease as the body starts sliding, and after a certain time period this will remain again constant. So ideally the coefficient of friction for dry friction cases, whether smooth or rough, will become constant. But in reality, uh, the coefficient of friction will slightly decrease as your speed increases much. And because of that reasons, you are getting a self-excited vibrations in the system. So in nutshell, I can say that the coefficient of friction is constant and it is also independent of velocity as it is evident from the next figure. So you can say that velocity will not make any change in the friction component. So now in this article, our main aim is to find amplitude decay per cycle and at the same time to find the damped frequency. So here let us consider a mass m which is sliding on a some dry surface here, and for that surface let us assume that F naught is the friction force magnitude and it is constant in nature and it is equal to mu into n. Okay, before starting this one, let me give you one more thing. If you are having an inclined surface, if you are having an inclined surface, then you can find the frictional force again here. Suppose this is your inclined surface, this is your theta. System is trying to move in this direction by some velocity v. Then you can have, this is your mg, it become mg cos theta, and this is your mg sin theta, which will help in moving the body downside. And then you are having a normal force to the dry surface. Then you are having a frictional force here. This is your F naught is equal to n mu into n is equal to mu mg cos theta. So for inclined surface, you have to use this mu mg cos theta value rather than mg into mu as in the horizontal surface. So here let us assume and you let us assume some sign convention here. This is the sign convention for this one. So velocity, displacement, velocity, and accelerations will be considered positive when they are acting in the direction of from uh, towards the right. Suppose I say this is your left and this is your right. Then as per the sign convention, When the body move from towards the right, it means from left to right. And all the three components are in this direction, they are basically positive here and vice versa. We will assume that this frictional force is constant here, and this frictional force will be considered as a in terms of some spring force stiffness, that is your kx naught. So I can say that frictional force is equal to spring stiffness of this spring attached here into x naught distance. So here let us assume you can have a two cases. Your mass can move from either left to right or right to left in a vibratory motion. Suppose if I assume that mass is displaced towards right and moving towards right. So I am displacing it by x. So your spring will be under tension externally or internally. This will be compressive. This is your kx. Then you are having a accelerating force. This is your mx double dot. Then velocity is in this direction. So you are having a frictional force F naught in this direction. So if you write the equation of motion here, that is your accelerating force is equal to restoring force. So here you are having a, suppose this is your positive here. Suppose I don't consider this convention. If I use my usual convention here, then you are having a positive here, negative here. So in this way, you can say mx double dot is equal to, you have to consider this one, this direction here, because it is attached to mass, it is attached to the support. So here you are having a minus kx minus f naught. So you are having a mx double dot plus kx is equal to f naught. This is the equation of motion when system moves from left to right. Now in the second case, suppose you are having a mass is displaced towards right and moving towards left. So here velocity is in this direction from right to left. So again spring is under tension externally, but internally it will be compressive here. This is your kx. You are having a accelerating force in this direction mx double dot, and then you are having a frictional force f naught in this direction opposite to the velocity. So in that case you are having equation of motion can be given by again mx accelerating force is equal to minus kx plus f naught, or I can say mx double dot plus kx is equal to f naught. It is the equation of motion when the mass moves from right to left. So you are getting these two equations here, which I have shown above.
Sir, I think in first equation there should be minus f naught.
Okay, yeah. Okay, thanks for rectifying this one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So in this, now I can combine these two equations and you are getting mx double dot plus kx is equal to minus plus f naught. Or I can show your top one, that is your minus sign represent left to right motion and downward positive represent right to left motion. So when I take this f on the side, it becomes this equation. So again I can say that positive sign is for left to right and negative sign represent for right to left motion. Now here I can write this equation in terms of equivalent. I am writing this spring force and this force equivalent to spring force of x naught small x naught distance spring deflection. So it become mx double dot plus k. I can take k out. It become x plus minus f naught upon k is equal to 0. I will write this is equivalent to small x 0 in future. So if I assume that a new variable here that is equal to y, it is equal to x plus f naught upon k when system is moving left to right. I will use the same symbol y here but having a different meaning, that is your x minus f naught upon k when system is moving from right to left. So y is another variable which correlate x but will be having a different meaning for left to right and right to left motion. So I can write this here mx double dot plus ky is equal to 0. And this is your simple differential equation and will be having a some SHM motion with respect to y. And y is defined differently for the two type of motions in a system. So here you can say frequency of vibration is given by omega is given by k upon m square root. This is the frequency of vibration under Coulomb's damping. And this is basically a damped frequency of Coulomb damping. And it is equivalent to omega n or undamped free vibration. So you can say that in the Coulomb's damping, damped frequency is equal to the natural undamped frequency of the system. Now, this is the differential equation. This will have a usual solution. Sorry, this I should write. Okay, let me correct this. Okay, let me correct this. You are having a, I forget something here. This is your y here. So I can write y double dot is equal to x double dot. Alright. So now this equation will become my double dot plus ky is equal to 0. Now this is the correct equation here. This is the equation in terms of y. Is it alright now? So here, this is the just like your mx double dot plus kx equation, and this will be having a simple harmonic motion about y, having a two different definition of y for two half cycles, and it will be having a damped frequencies given by k upon m is equal to omega, and this is basically given as a omega n of undamped free vibrations. Now this equation will be having a solution y is equal to a cos omega t plus b sin omega t. So here you can write x is equal to x plus minus, I can write this is equal to x naught here is equal to a cos omega t plus b sin omega t. So here you are having a positive sign when left to right, negative sign for right to left. So here you are having a two solutions for x. So this is the solution here. This is the two solutions here. The first solutions you take a minus sign here, it become it become here plus sign here. So the here you can say the positive sign is representing left to right and negative sign right to left motion. So earlier, so you are having a in this one, I have taken positive sign left to right. Once it has gone to other side, it become right to left and negative sign. So this is the solution here. So this is the condition when you are having a motion from right to left. And this is the equation of displacement when you are having a left to right. Now here you are having a and b constants. Then you are having a1 and b1 constant here, which you will find by some initial conditions. And these two equations are valid only for half cycles. Now let us have some condition. At t is equal to 0, x is given as x naught. At the same time, velocity is also equal to 0. So when I use this equation here, so at t is equal to 0, you are getting this one x naught, capital X naught is equal to a cos 0 plus b sin 0 plus x naught. So here this is 0 here. Your a has come out to be x naught minus x small x naught. And when you write this condition here, for this condition at t is equal to 0, x naught x dot is equal to 0, it become your 0 here. This is your a omega sine omega t means sine 0 plus b omega cos omega t cos 0, and this is 0. It means this is 0 here, it become b is equal to 0. So if I put the value of a, this one in this equation, it become x naught minus small x0 into cos omega t plus x0. This is the displacement of the mass from right to left. And you can say here, when I shift the x-axis, or you can say x minus x naught is equal to x naught capital minus x naught small into cos omega t. And this is basically a cosine curve about this axis. So I can explain this one in this figure. So for the first half, if I consider this is your right side and this is your left side, this is the t, and for this x is equal to 0 here. So you have seen that, and this is the one when x is equal to, x has been displaced by x naught. This is your x naught here. So we are displacing the x-axis by x naught here. So you are this from a to a01 b represent the cosine curve about this axis. So this is the basically first half cycle, and you are getting a cosine curve, and which has been given by this equation. That is your, I can write the equation here. X is equal to x naught minus x small x naught into cos omega t plus x naught here. So your this equation is plotted here, and it is having a cosine curve with respect to this axis. So you can say here again this much point with respect to this. Okay, this is your x naught minus small x naught. This is again equal to x naught minus x naught, but in negative in nature. Okay, so here if I again write this one, what is the value of this one? This is again equal to x naught minus 2 x naught. So you can say here in the first half cycle we started the displacement by giving capital X naught about this axis. This is your x naught, but after half cycle it has reduced by 2 small x naught. So you can say in the first half cycle you are having a decay in the amplitude by 2 x naught. And it is shown, so it is again equal to x naught here. Now for the point B, you will be having a now conditions here. I can start as an initial point here. So at this is your basically pi by 2 omega. This is again pi by 2 omega here. It become pi upon omega, and you know that time period is given by 1 upon fn is equal to 2 2 pi Fn is equal to omega is equal to 2 pi upon Tp, or Tp become your 2 pi upon omega, or your half cycle time period will become pi upon omega. It is basically pi upon omega here. Now in the second half cycle, when your system is moving from left to right, then you are having this graph B to C. So here at this point B, your T is equal to pi upon omega, and at this point velocity changes the direction here, so your uh, x dot is equal to 0, and at this time your displacement is equal to x minus x naught minus 2x naught here, small x naught here, and this is basically a negative value. Now for the second case, we got a equation here. So I can write here equation. Equation is x is equal to a1 cos omega t plus b1 sin omega t minus x naught. This is equation for left to right. So for this one, at t is equal to 0, you are getting a x is equal to this value. It means t is equal to pi by omega. So you are having a minus x naught minus 2x naught is equal to a1 cos, it become pi here, t is equal to pi by omega, plus b1 sin pi minus x naught. You can say sin pi, sin 0 is 0, sin pi is also 0, and cos pi is equal to minus 1. So you can say a1 will be equal to x naught minus 3x naught. Similarly, your velocity at this point, so velocity x dot is equal to a1 omega sin pi, it is equal to 0 at t is equal to pi by omega, plus b1 omega sin pi minus x naught. Again sin pi is 0 here, sorry, it will not be there, sorry, this is your cos pi, this is equal to minus 1 here, but it will give b1 is equal to 0. So you are having a1 is given by this and b1 is given by this. When you put the value here in this equation, you are getting here x is equal to x naught minus 3 small x naught here into cos omega t minus x naught. This is the equation for body moving from left to right. So you can see here, so when you have this point here, at this point, what is the value of t? It is basically uh, 2 pi upon omega. So at point C, t is equal to 2 pi upon omega, and this gives the value of x is equal to capital X naught minus 4x naught here. So this equation has been plotted here, and this is shown here from this. So this equation shows that this is having a cosine curve with respect to a point when x is equal to minus x naught. So you are having a cosine curve with respect to this. So in the first half cycle, you are having a cosine curve with respect to this. In the second half cycle, you are having a cosine curve with respect to this. And at this point, you are saying that we started with the displacement of x naught here. After half cycle, you are having a 2x naught displacement reduction, small x naught. In the next half cycle, you are having again a 2x naught reduction here. So totally you are having a 4f naught upon k. It is equal to 4x naught square here, square x naught displacement is reduced. So you can say in this Coulomb damping, you are having a decay in the amplitude is given by 4f naught upon k, where f naught is the frictional force. So if you know the frictional force, you can find the decay in the amplitude uh, in the Coulomb damping. Now you can also find the same damping or same decay in the amplitude by energy method. So at this point of A, what is your energy in the spring? Half k x a square. Suppose this is your xa. And at this point B, what is the energy of the spring remain in the system? Half k xb square. Now when the system moves from A to B, it will be dissipating some energy in the form of frictional force, and this will be equivalent to the energy loss in the spring from A to B. And when the body move from A to B, then what is the frictional force you are giving? Frictional force is nothing but, suppose F naught is your frictional force, then what is the work done by the frictional force? Moving from A to B, it is nothing but, this is the loss in the XA minus XB into F naught. This is the loss in the, this is the spring force having some work done by this frictional force. So so you got this frictional force here, and this is the loss in the energy in the spring, and this will be basically causing some frictional work done here. So when you solve this equation, it become half k xa minus xb into xa minus xb here. This cancel out here, and you are getting a xa minus xb is given by this, which is the same value which you are getting by that long mathematical manipulations. So you can say here from A to B, you are having a this much of decay in the amplitude of the vibration. You can also say the same thing for B to C. Again, for B to C cycle, half cycle, you can say this is the decay in the amplitude. Apply the same concept here, energy concept, you will find this value. Now here, when I target the decay in amplitude from A to C, then you need to add these two equations and it become xa minus xc. It is equal to 4 f naught upon k. So this is the formula to find the decay in the amplitude per cycle by Coulomb's damping. You can see the how easy to find the decay in the amplitude by energy method, but this energy method is not giving you the frequency of vibration under Coulomb damping conditions. Now let us have some comparison between the viscous and Coulomb damping. Number first comparison. In the Coulomb's damping, in the viscous, let us write a viscous damping here. In the viscous damping, the damping force is proportional to velocity. In the Coulomb damping, damping force is independent of velocity, not. And because of this reason, equation of motion is linear. In this Coulomb damping, equation of motion is non-linear. This is the first difference. And here you can see that differential equations is non-linear, but we can consider the equation linear by having a two half cycles considerations. In the second comparison, in the viscous damping, frequency of damp vibration is less than omega n, and it is a function of damp zeta. Larger the damping factor, lesser will be the damping frequency. In the Coulomb damping, omega t is equal to omega n, and this damping frequency is independent of frictional force F naught. Now for the third case, let me again go back to this here. So you can see you are having a decay for F naught upon K for every cycle. So this will basically form a linear curve. This is your linear enveloping curve for the decay in the amplitude. So now you can say here, in the viscous damping, the amplitude decay exponentially, while in the Coulomb damping, the enveloping curve for the uh, displacement curve is straight line. Now in the viscous damping, the ratio of two successive amplitude is constant. So in that way, this will basically form geometric progression. in the viscous damping. In the Coulomb's damping, you are having a constant decay in the amplitude, and because of that, you are having a arithmetic progression for between the two amplitudes. You are having a x2 minus x1 is equal to x3 minus x2 and so on. This is the first cycle amplitude, second and third and so on. So they will basically form a straight line, and they will be having a arithmetic progression here. And the last point of difference is that if you in the viscous damping, the mass will come to its original equilibrium condition when it stops. But in the Coulomb's damping, the mass may or may not return to its equilibrium position. The position of the mass in the Coulomb damping depends upon the restoring force available in the spring at the end of each half cycle. So whenever restoring force in the spring, suppose your restoring force is given by K into X. X is the displacement of the mass at any half cycle. When this is less than frictional force F naught, then the system will come to its stopping condition, and this is the point where the system will will be stopped suddenly. Whenever this condition is reversed, system will keep on moving until restoring force is equal or less than the frictional force. This is about this article. Okay.